When did it happen that the grappling hook became synonymous with slingshotting? Because I find that a lot of people don't just use the grapple for very small corrections, which I've always found to be one of the fundamental advantages of it. At first it seems like a disadvantage. I remember when I first started using grapple, one of the things that really hit me hard was the fact that you couldn't be using your weapon when you were using the grappling hook. Then as I developed my skill with it and I found out how to be faster with it, and all that means is that I'm able to put it away and take it out as I need it. So if I need my gun, I can bring the hook back and use it as I need it. It really just means having more control over your hook. And if you manage to do that, I find that it just makes it a lot stronger than it initially seems. That's why if you go back 2 years, the grappling hook still wasn't top tier how it is now. It really took about a year and a half to really be able to see what you could do with it. When slingshotting came out, it drove a lot of people to it because it was something that gave you instant gratification. You just flew through the air and you landed on someone and you killed them, right? The thing about the slingshot is that you do it way out in the open in pretty much the exact same fashion every time. If you want maximum speed and distance, height, all those things, you're kind of locked into a position. And usually if you're doing it, it's because you have all that room. However, you don't have that indoors. You don't have that in a lot of situations. And that's really the distinguishing factor between slingshots and short-range grapples, is that short-range grapples allows way more freedom, a lot more room for creativity, as well as just a lot of different avenues to accomplish the same goal. For instance, you can shoot the grappling hook in a different anchor point and still achieve the exact same endpoint with your character, just depending on how good you are at spacing your jumps and being able to manipulate the cable. By the way, this clip right here I had to share. It's from NyQuil. It honestly just reminded me of myself. These are the kind of things I do. I like how he came in here with a grapple, but he saved his jump. So when he actually got in there, he activated it because yeah, he heard him coming. He may have heard the cable, he may have seen it, but holding on to that jump until he made his entrance, that's what made it really tricky. And that's just the cherry on top. I like moves like that. And that's somebody who appreciates the things that you can do with grapple. And a lot of the moves, like you see there that I still had a jump charge because I hit the ground, that's really what using the grappling hook's all about. It's knowing how you reset your jumps and being able to use it, to do all these kind of crazy moves. Like I had to pull completely onto the left there so I didn't get caught up in the wall. There's a lot of things that you can do with the grappling hook in close distance that in my opinion are way cooler than just slingshotting. Let me just show you 3 melees from one game. It just kind of goes to show you in the ways that you can manipulate the hooks and how you manipulate it even more by spacing out your jumps and just doing things like this. Like I'm already ready to go in there in case he doesn't actually end up coming out through there. There is just a lot of ways to use a grappling hook that don't involve slingshotting. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. And I think my water's done circulating if you notice that background noise. So let's just talk about now more so about these moves and how they work and how short range grapples are really different than slingshots. So what I was saying earlier was that the slingshot is basically one movement. You hold all the way off to the right or the left and you pretty much try to keep your distance from the center of where the anchor point is for the grapple. So essentially the further away you are from the midpoint and you're just opening yourself up, the more of a slingshot effect you're going to get. We're not going to get into the specifics. By now you should know how to do this move. If not, there's a ton of tutorials out there. If not, you can pretty much just piece it together. If you just watch anybody do a good slingshot, recreate what it looks like on your screen and you will do it. But let me just show you a couple things. The thing is that you don't always need to grapple to do a lot of these moves like through the inside. It's true that you can get away by just normally bunny hopping. But the beauty about the grappling hook is that it kind of helps you correct. Sometimes you can make turns a lot tighter using the grappling hook than you could naturally. And sometimes you can even correct mistakes like that. I missed hitting the ground, so I did not get a second jump in order to make that. I ended up correcting it with my grappling hook. And really that's one of the beauties of the grappling hook. But the other thing I noticed was that there's actually places where you just can't go without a grappling hook. Like you can't really make that bunny hopping. It just doesn't work. You can go off the walls and kind of chain it together, but it's not actually going to be as smooth as what you can get off with a grappling hook. Like these kind of corners you just cannot do in the normal way. There's definitely going to be a lot of places where you can apply this if you kind of just get used to it. One of the things that happens a lot, I find, like just right there, was that you activate your double jump, especially when going downwards. The natural way to get speed if you're somebody that does a lot of slide hopping is to jump and then do it again, right? But a lot of these places, they just don't allow for that because it's really easy for you to hit your head. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these places. By the way, I just noticed that I missed this. That's how you chain that together. There's a lot of ways to chain together some really tight turns, but a lot of them are quite difficult. I find it personally easier with grapple. That's because I put so much time into it. But I find that even if you're just a decent grappler or a decent bunny hopper, slide hopper, however you want to put that, I think that when you combine the two, I think it puts you into a higher tier of speed, because if you're able to do both of these things, you can combine them to make turns that one or the other just really can't perform on their own. And that's really the point of this video, is if you're somebody that has not embraced the close range grapple or haven't really attempted these kind of moves, I think it's something that you guys are going to get a kick out of, because you can really do some amazing things and it feels awesome. So if you want to learn how to use your short range grapple, honestly just crouch your character down and be able to move with your grapple completely. If you're running a charge, you're doing it too slow, use your jump, because you should always have it, because you're skidding off the ground. That's the whole exercise, and that's it. You've learned how to short range grapple if you can move like that. That's the sound of somebody grabbing a zip line. That's how I know he's there. One of the things I didn't point out when I was just running you guys through the bunny hopping indoors and using the grappling hook is that different moves use a different amount of the cable. If you're better at connecting your grapples into your slide hopping, you're gonna usually use less of a charge. If you're somebody that's really quick at engaging and disengaging the hook, especially at really short distance, like even just right in front of your feet, you're going to use less grapple energy. When I'm trying to scale a wall, there's a difference between scaling it with like 6 different little grapples versus just using one to get yourself all the way to the top. Like, I don't want to waste all my grapple. That's why all these short grapples that I learned to do indoors applies to so many different places, because then I don't waste it. I still get this question constantly on the channel. It's like, why do you have so many more grapple charges than I do? It's like, I don't, but I just conserve the charge. I don't waste it. I don't use any more than I need to. If I'm about to hit the wall, I'm already disconnecting my hook. There's no reason to leave it on longer. It just takes away from the grappling hook experience because you're wasting it. And that's just the bottom line. It is way too much fun to just be wasting, holding on to it, just getting from point A to point B when you were already going to get to from point A to point B by just letting your natural momentum take over. So you don't need to hold the cable. Just let the momentum you build up from it take over. And that's really all short range grappling is. It's using the momentum it gives you. It just speeds you up so fast. It's practically in stim category, because the thing about short range grapple is that you don't have to always save 2 jumps. Usually the trick to this is, if you haven't noticed, one of the things I keep talking about hitting the ground is because it gives you essentially 2 jumps back. There's a jump that you get when you're on the ground. I think this is the one that people are missing. It's also the key to slingshotting. If you know how to slingshot, you should know about the 2 jumps. There's absolutely no way you don't, because that's the only way to slingshot properly. But when it comes to short range, you can boost those 2 jumps, like compress them, and you're just like a spring. Boom, you're up. And the thing is, you grapple right back down to the ground to get another charge. So all you've done is speed up yourself. You've pretty much slammed yourself into a bunny hop. And it actually reminds me of wave dashing in Smash. I think essentially it's the same concept. You smash yourself down and you throw yourself at an angle. Yeah, it's a wave dash. I've never thought about it that way, but it just makes even more sense to me now. So really all indoor grappling and short grappling, 3 building blocks. There is the double jump, which you have to space to do your moves, which is kind of put together with being able to look at the grappling hook so it doesn't disengage, or you make it disengage depending on which one you want, being able to manipulate that. After that, it's being able to spam it, because that's what conserves the grappling hook. Right? More grappling hook means more grappling hook action. Don't waste your meter. The wave dash, which is a really cool maneuver, especially for short grapples, is that you're just running yourself into the ground to make sure that you always have that second jump available, which is really what gets you out of trouble when you're using the grappling hook. That's where all the oomph comes from. The first one's good, but the second jump's even better. What else is there? I think that's pretty much it, eh? After that, I think it's more practice. Because there's just these like soft limits. Knowing how far you can look away from the grapple while still being able to hold on to it, it's something you're just going to develop as you start doing it and paying more attention to that. Try getting more hang time. Like, hang time is something that's achieved by having good control of your jumps, as well as like just manipulating your grappling hook so you end up open, whichever situation that may mean. You know, like I just mean like all situations are unique with the grappling hook. You can play yourself left or right, you know. It could probably work either way. So see what you guys can come up with, experiment with it. I think you guys will find that it's a pretty good time.